Welcome to Positive Atheism English Channel. In the program Leaves from Gora's Life, in the last episode, we have come to know that Gora and his family came to a village, Mudunuru, and as he was no longer a lecturer, he devoted his full time for the propaganda of atheism. In today's episode, we shall know how the change came in his wife. When he was a lecturer, he as a male person could mix with allied population, educated people, and he could move with them even though he was outcast. But his wife had to deal with conservative people, especially conservative women. A woman in India is mostly confined to the home. It is the man who moves about and earns. His wife was not much educated, though devoted to the ideology of atheism. So, she was not coming out very much into the public life. She was confined mostly to the home. She was giving all her support to him, and she had to deal more with conservative neighbors, the women folk, and therefore her life also was a compromise between the atheistic ideology and the traditional life. Though Gora removed his sacred thread, and though she was outcast with him, she continued to have the symbols of caste, what you call the caste mark on the forehead and the bangles. These were symbols of religion. She continued to wear them because she had to deal with conservative people. She was outcast with him when he removed the thread in 1928, but she continued to have them. Also, she continued in her old vegetarian habit. She was giving all her support and she agreed to the outcast with him. So, Gora did not insist on her removing the symbols of caste mark and bangles and change her habits of food. But when they came to Mudunuru, they got into a different climate altogether. They were wholly committed to atheism. No more compromise on her part was necessary with neighbors, and therefore she removed her bangles, her caste mark, and it's a big change for a woman in India. And above all, she at once took to meat eating, not out of any caste habits. It is easy for a man to change, but not so for a woman in India. Gora admired her devotion. His name also was changed from that long name, Goparaj Ramchandra, to Gora, the initials. Gora became more popular than that old traditional name. Hereafter, he was popularly known as Gora. His wife took an aggressive propaganda of atheism. Though she is not educated, she had sound common sense, and through association with Gora, she knew the fundamentals of atheism and then took to public speaking. She too became a propagandist for atheism and especially in dispelling the superstitions. When they came to Mudunuru, the village women were very conservative more than the town people. His wife, at the time of the eclipse, collected the pregnant women in the village, made them defy the rules of eclipse as she did in Colombo. She was herself an object of lesson. At that time, she had 6 children already, and she told them that none of them had any deformities, though she walked during the eclipse. The other women also came forward, and so it was a big demonstration on the eclipse day in the village. In 1940, in the first year on the solar eclipse day, 18 pregnant women joined her and then did all those taboos of cutting, washing, and writing during eclipse time. Their children were born all right. That was something like an object lesson in dispelling these superstitions. The various discussions on atheism, talks with the young men, the practices of cosmopolitan dinners, dispelling of superstitions, the experiences that they were having there, the first atheistic conference, all these led Gora think afresh on atheism. Is atheism only a negative aspect of life where we deny the existence of God or superstition? Or is atheism anything positive? Some of us wanted to explore the positive aspects of atheism. What does it mean actually? Atheism is a negative word, but the connotation is not negative. It must have a positive significance to life. Independence is a negative word, fearlessness is a negative word, autumn is negative in form. Etymology sometimes gives a negative form to the word when its contrary is more popular. Independence, for instance, means freedom positively, though independence is a negative word. Taking along these lines, Gora explored to find the positive content. Atheism, therefore, seemed to him positively the expression of the free will in human affairs. Belief in God, in whatever form God is conceived, places the individual or the believer in an inferior position, inferior to the God of his belief. This inferiority expresses a slave mind. Hindu philosophy does not postulate a God in this sense in which Christian or Islamic religion conceives. Still, Hindu thought is theistic. So, Gora began to think that theism expresses a slave mind, whereas atheism expresses the free will. The ambivalent human nature is a mixture of slave mind and free will, just as it is a mixture of the opposites of love and hate. The manifestation of the slave mind gave rise to the theistic way of life, and the manifestation of the free will gave rise to the atheistic way of life. Because slave mind found the early expression and slave mind needed something to depend upon, it created a God and depended upon God. In terms of God, the expression of slave mind came to be known as theism, but slave mind does not confine itself only to the belief in God. Nevertheless, it subordinates the individual to a universal being and to casual logic. So, the essence of theism is not so much the belief in God as the subordination of the individual to something considered to be superior to him. Theism seemed to Gora godly and godless also. The subordination of the individual need not be confined to belief in God, to God alone, or in fatalism, or in spiritualistic ideas. In modern civilization, the individual is subordinated to the authority of the state, belief in natural law. Particularly, Marxism subordinates the individual to the compulsion of materialistic circumstances. It is all the same for men whether he is subordinated to God or to a government or to circumstances of life. The difference is there between them. One is materialistic, another is spiritualistic. Government can be seen. The ways of the government, the ways of the circumstances can be seen and felt, whereas God is intangible, otherworldly. There is the difference between godly theism and godless theism. Both of them agree in subordinating the individual to something which appears superior to him. Therefore, when Gora thought more about the difference between theism and atheism, came to the conclusion that the difference between theism and atheism is more psychological. And from here, we shall continue in the next episode again. Thank you.
For more videos, please subscribe to our Positive Atheism English channel presented by Dr. Samaram Multi-Channel Network, which has more than 18 crore views, and click the bell icon for notification of our new videos.
Please download Samaram Multi-Channel app and watch your favorite channels from your mobile. App available on Google Play Store and subscribe to the channels.